Awesome, awesome. All right, now we're all official. So welcome, you guys. It is Finish Strong Friday, hashtag FSF. And we have been finishing strong this week. We're going to talk more about that. Oh, by the way, got my official, you've seen this before, but my official Petaluma lacrosse sweatshirt on. My son's team won the big crosstown battle for the paddle last night. Boom, the local champions. So I'm wearing the colors today, so I'm pretty fired up about that. My name is Jeffrey Howard. For those of you who may not know me, I am a mentor here at 8-Figure Dream Lifestyle. I have been involved with the business here for about 16 months now, just into the multiple six figures, going to be breaking $300,000 any second now. I've just been looking for that number to hit any day, and it's coming. So loving that, not saying that to impress anybody, but just to impress upon you what is possible through the power of persistence, which is what we're going to talk about today. So again, just by way of background, you guys, I've been involved with this home-based business industry for about 22 years now. In fact, I'm coming up on my anniversary again. It will be 22 years exactly on May the 15th since I fired my boss for the very last time. Haven't had a job since then. Haven't had to stare in the face of an employer, had anybody looking over my shoulder. Can't say it's all been a perfect ride all the time, but you know what? What is, and why should it be? So again, we'll cover some of that on our training today. So, just on a personal level, obviously I'm a dad. I told you about that before. Championship dad of a lacrosse player. And I've got noise I got to grab here. Hold on a second. I'm kind of managing everything on my own here, you guys, today. I guess Eric won't be able to join us. I know he wasn't feeling well this morning. So, I'm a single dad of 4 boys. I only have one still left at home. The youngest one, the lacrosse player, still at home. So exciting times. He's 16, just turned 16 recently, just got his driver's license. So that's also exciting in a really weird way. And I'm a musician. I've had a career in the music business back in the day, back in the big hair 80s rock and roll, early 90s. Had a couple albums out back then. It was a lot of fun. And it's interesting because I've been able to translate all that into, what we do today, which is a nice thing about, this type of a business is that you can bring forward all of your life skills and wrap them up into one little neat package and kind of reinvent yourself however you choose to. Of course, 8-Figure Dream Lifestyle offers us a huge opportunity for that. This is absolutely a brilliant business for so many different reasons. I have people tell me all the time, just by being part of this community, they feel really confident in the fact that they have that they've invested this money in the training that comes along with it, regardless of if they ever make a dime in the business. People are telling me all the time now, we have such great value in the training, such great value in our products, and we're just absolutely thrilled to be here. And Stephanie's here too. She's going to be a new member very soon. So welcome, Stephanie. So, and Chrissy, you feel my pain, huh? Chrissy says, I know how you feel. My daughter just turned 16. Yep, here it comes. Here it comes. It's funny. I have 4 boys. Like I said, my fiance has 4 girls though. So we've always had, with 4 boys, we always have teenage girls around, but we just never really had them sort of permanently around. But yeah, now my fiance's youngest is about to leave the house and go off to college in the fall. And finally, after 11 years, we're going to be able to live in the same town. So that's pretty interesting times for us too. So listen, I got to find the noise. There it is. Okay, I got it. All right, so let's just go ahead and get launched here today. And actually, I want to do a little screen share because I want to just show you. I just want to have some images pop up while I talk today. And let me see if I can find the right screen. How's that? Are you guys seeing the mindset is everything image? Somebody nod their head, yes? Cool. All right. So hopefully things go well here. I'll be able to flip through. They're not exactly slides, whoops, they're just pictures. But they're going to support what we talk about today. And what I want to talk about today is, again, it's along the theme of what we typically discuss here on Fridays. This is all about mindset on Friday. The reason we talk so much about mindset is that we strongly believe that mindset is the thing that is the difference between you in being successful, or the difference between success and failure in a sense. And again, those of you who have been here with me on, multiple occasions know that I don't really have a belief in the word failure. I believe that failure is just learning a way not to do it the wrong way again. You always learn something from a failure moving forward. Like I said, in the 22 years of being in this industry, there's certainly things that I could have defined as failure, but they're all things that I've learned something significant from and been able to move forward and be more successful. And in that period of time, I didn't just automatically jump out of the blocks. I had a good run on my first business. But things went sideways with that business, not by any fault of mine. It just happened. But I've been involved with something on the order of 30 plus different businesses in that period of time. And I've been what I consider to be successful, just by financial definition, successful in 9. So, if you look at that from a percentage basis, you could say that I, had a failure rate of, roughly about 70%, a little bit more than 70%. But if you look at it from where I'm at right now, the last 5 businesses in a row I've had have been successful. So that's what I'm looking at, is what's the long-term track record, and then what's the consistency over time. So, and when I say successful, obviously that has different meanings for different people. For me, that is just a financial definition. 6 figures or better, 6 figures or multiple 6 figures, how I define that. So, last 5 in a row. So I guess, I'm trying to get it right here finally, and, trying to, just develop a consistent track record over time with multiple streams of income. And that is all about persistence. And that's, that's really, again, what we're here to talk about today. This is the key aspect of mindset. The thing that keeps you going, being in the right mindset, is the thing that keeps you going day in and day out when things get tough, and things do get tough. All right. Everybody, whether it's a personal challenge, a business challenge, whatever it may be, financial challenges, people lose loved ones. We have people in the house today that's happened recently, I've been in a discussion about that, and, health challenges. We all run into things. So the question is, are you going to lay down and die and quit when that happens? Or are you going to charge forward with the right mindset and learn something from that, grow stronger, and move on? So today's topic is really about the power of persistence. There's a reason that we also talk about in our 90-day game plans. One of the first things I teach people is the best advice that I can give you in 90 days in this business, the first 90 days or any 90-day period in this business, is very simple. It's be here in 90 days. Just be here in 90 days. You're going to learn, if you're consistent over time with your behavior, with your activity, with the actions that you take to support yourself in this business, you are going to be a different person in 90 days. Completely different person. You're going to have a better skill set. You're going to know the tools better. You're going to get better at having the conversations, at building relationships, and all the things. And you're going to be better at mindset and all the things that we teach. So be here in 90 days. The simple power of persistence. Persistent activity over time creates results. So, like it says in the quote here, mindset is everything. What you think is what you become. So if you believe you can do something, or if you believe you can't do something, you're absolutely right. Either one of those things are true. And it's your choice. That's kind of a butchered quote from Henry Ford, by the way. Whether you believe you can do a thing, or whether you don't believe you can do a thing, you're absolutely correct. So in the first area of power of persistence, I want to just talk about, what is persistence? And a definition. What is persistence? Well, it's defined as the act of persisting or persevering, continuing or repeating a behavior. It's closely related to words like commitment and perseverance. I told you a little bit about 22 years ago almost, I was able to fire my boss. I'd been in a part-time in a network marketing business for about 8 months before I actually quit my job. And I'm going to unshare for just a second because I want to have the screen be big enough so that you can see what I'm about to show you. So my very first sponsor in my very first network marketing business gave me this. It's a piece of granite. And if you can't see it, it says, persistence prevails when all else fails. This has been sitting on my desk for I guess it's been close to 23 years now, because it was 22 years ago since I fired my last boss. This has been sitting here on my desk or up on my shelf here. I pulled it down off the shelf for where I see it so I can show it to you guys today. 23 years. You think there's not been challenges in that period of time? Of course there have. Huge challenges. That particular company, by the way, where I earned my first 6-figure income ever in my life, had a quote unquote, a feature, what do they call it? It's kind of like a 60 minutes type of a program. I can't remember which one. It might've been 60 minutes. It was actually something like that. It was a really big deal. Like we really promoted it heavily, and it was going to be, wow, this is like really going to put our company on the map and blah, 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 blah. And guess what? Our big feature turned out to be a spin, like a negative expose, of the pyramid scheme that is network marketing, right? Like, what? Nobody knew this was coming. And everybody in the entire company was tuned into it. And guess what? People started dropping like flies, just all over the place. People were just dropping like flies. My business was cut in half almost overnight. Why? Well, fear and lack of persistence. And certainly there was a mindset problem there, right? Serious mindset problem there. If people ran for the hills over something that simple, yeah, it was a big deal. It was a nationally televised, program, but did that change the quality of that product at all? No. They didn't say anything negative specifically about our product or our company or negative claims that were being made. It was nothing like that. It was really just this whole umbrella about this industry. That was 22 years ago. Theoretically, there was maybe some justification. There's a lot of people still looked at home-based businesses and network marketing like some kind of scheme. Well, now we know everybody's moving that direction here 22 years later, but do we still run into that? Oh, it's a pyramid scheme. It's a scam. Anybody ever heard that before? Come on, raise your hand if you've heard that before, right? Everybody, because you know what scam is these days? Anything that I don't understand or that makes me uncomfortable or that pushes me outside of my box, that gets to be defined as a scam. Anything that threatens my continuity of my existence. Like I've been in the working world for my whole life. Starting a new business, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of starting a new business. So therefore, I've got to make some sort of justification and not take responsibility for that. So it must be a scam. Oh, I did some research on the internet. I love that with like, I do this comparison with health programs. There's a lot of great, really great health related products that are out on the, out in the world and that only are available through the form of network marketing, for example. And I love it when people will drive through the drive-through at McDonald's, but when you talk to them about like really good, solid nutrition, they say, well, I've got to do some research. Come on, man. So anyway, I'm off on a tangent, but I want to go back to to where we were talking about before, and let me get my screen back up here so I can keep the consistency going. Here, wait a minute. So I'm trying to run all my own controls at the same time as I'm doing everything else here, guys. So bear with me. All right, there we go. So let me see. What picture do we have up next here? Oh, persistence. Look at this one. So everybody sees the screen, right? Are you seeing the right screen? You see a picture that says persistence plus persistence plus persistence plus persistence plus persistence plus et cetera, equals success, right? Does it happen overnight? Not usually. Not for most people. Not unless you get lucky. And I don't really believe in luck either. So some people consider persistence to be pesky, annoying. If you have that mindset, if you believe that by being in a solid state of perpetual professional follow-up, you're actually annoying people or bugging them, I would be wanting to work on that if I were you. Let me give you a great example. I had a guy just this week join my business. His name is Daryl. I invited him to be on here. Let me just look and see if he's here. He's not here. Okay, Daryl's getting onboarded tomorrow. So I was looking at my notes. I first started talking to Daryl on the 18th of January of 2016. Okay, where are we at with that? Almost 2.5 years? 2 years and a quarter? That's a guy who I started talking to when I wasn't even in 8-Figure Dream Lifestyle. Right? I just told you I've been in for 16 months. This is almost 2.5 years ago. 2 businesses ago, I started talking with this guy. He really loved the idea of having his own business. He was a little nervous, a little bit scared, had a job that took up a lot of his time, wasn't sure how he was going to fit in. Oh, no worries, tune into, some of our trainings, come stop by and, let me give you this resource. Let me show you how to kind of overcome some of that. Let me show you how to figure out your time management. Oh, that sounds really good. Well, I think I'm going to move forward. Well, then he didn't. And then he was going to, and then he didn't. Well, I kind of let go of it for a little while, even though we started communicating again here a few months ago. And Daryl went through our webinar and came back to me and said, some things have changed in my life. My job let me go, the job I've had for a long time. I'm going to need to make some changes in my life. I'm going to need to generate an income. And it seems to me like what you guys have is the best thing out there in terms of being able to make an income, a significant income quickly. Can't argue with that. I don't think anybody can really argue with that. $6,000, $12,000, $21,000 at a time. Kind of hard to argue with that. So long story short, a little shorter, actually too late. It's already long, but Daryl's in the business with us now. He started with us this week after 2.5 years. And let me see here. So Kim, by the way, I forgot to mention, there's a chat box in here. And if anybody, we do these things pretty interactively. Clearly I don't work from a script. I'm sure you've probably already figured that part out. But there's a chat box here, and if you haven't seen it yet, it lights up with a little orange bubble when somebody puts a chat in there. It's down at the bottom of your screen. If you're on the phone, and I'm not sure exactly where it is. I think it's in the lower left-hand corner, depending on which app you're using. But anything, this is something that Kim said, anything we challenge and don't understand as a human race in general creates those scam or rebellious reactions until education takes over. That's a really good point, Kim. And a face is placed on the issue where it becomes more real and humanized. It is breaking that knee-jerk reaction of fear with a different type of thought. Wow, Kim, that is incredibly articulate and very well stated. And when are you going to be a mentor, Kim? I got to get you up here, get you on board. And
soon,
yeah,
I hope.
Yes, soon. Well, yeah, I'm always here to help you out whatever you need to help move that process along. Okay, so where was I? Oh, I talked about Daryl. I talked about the 90-day game plan. Action, obviously, is really the key in all of this. And, persistence is going to be required no matter what you do in your life. Look, personally speaking, I think a thinking person realizes that it takes persistence to improve your relationships, whether it's in the context of friendship, courtship, business. Again, I had a conversation with someone who, I won't mention her name, but we talked about relationships just this morning. And, she lost someone close to her recently, and after a decades-long marriage. And she had mentioned, and this is just me paraphrasing, and I apologize that I'm going to butcher the way you said this, but she said that, it's not always going to be, rainbows and unicorns is my way of putting it. But if you care about each other, if you really truly are committed to the situation, then you'll do whatever it takes. You'll push through it. You'll push through the challenges. The same thing is true with your business. My parents have been, well, I'll be 59 this year, and I can always figure out what their anniversary is because it's always one more than my age. So they're going to celebrate their 60th anniversary coming up next February. They are the people that I look to for relationship modeling, because it has not been easy for them. We lost my only brother when I was 18 years old. And while that was a devastating thing for the whole family, what was most devastating for me was watching my parents go through it. And because losing a child, I think, fortunately, thank God, I've not had to experience that, but I've gotten to witness it firsthand. And it nearly tore them apart, as you can imagine. My brother was 13 when he passed, and I was 18. And it was the fall of the year I graduated high school. So 40 years ago coming up. And I had also lost two of my best friends and my brother that same year. So, I watched my parents go through this process where if it weren't for the deep level of commitment that they had, they would not have been able to survive that. And here they are, coming up on their 60th. Did I hear somebody actually trying to ask a question or comment? I thought I heard somebody talking.
Hi, Jeffrey. Yeah, this is Reese. I have a guest on, Mary Hansen.
Okay. Hi, Mary. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I can see you. And I see we've had a couple of other people add on too. I know Alex told me he was going to have a guest here as well today. And I don't know, I believe it was Richard that was going to be Alex's guest. I can't see for sure if he's here. I see someone, LGK10, but no name. So welcome to you as well. Okay, so I'm off on a tangent, but like I said before, those of you who know me, I've learned to expect that from me. So yeah, let's continue to talk about this persistence being the key ingredient to success. You've heard us talk, Eric and I both, on these Friday calls about the differentiator being the taking massive action. And that falls into this category of persistence. Persistence, if you look at anyone who has been successful, it didn't come from just natural talent. Even if you look at, say, for example, entertainers, musicians, or it's always, one of my favorites to use as an analogy, or movie stars, or whatever it might be. You see somebody just kind of come out all of a sudden and they're huge. And is it because they just had this amazing talent and it was immediately noticed? No, for a lot of people, it had been years or even decades of really honing their craft, really working toward perfection and just being able to get in front of the right people. Persistence, it's a talent multiplier. You've heard us talk before also about, sometimes people will look at someone like me or Eric or Alex or Brian, one of the founders, or some of the people that have made six figures, multiple six figures, even seven figures in this business. And they're thinking to themselves, wow, well, I don't have that set of skills. I don't have that thing, that it factor that this person has or that person has. And the truth is, first of all, the truth is that that's just mindset chatter. All right. That's just like your negative stuff that's running a tape in your head. So you have more than enough skill, more than enough talent. We have all the resources. We have the automation. We have all the things here to help you to get that. We have all the training to help you to raise the bar for yourself. But the truth is that that right now, today, if this is your very first day in the business, or if you're just making the choice to get started with this business, you can outperform me very easily. You might be saying to yourself, well, how is that even possible? Well, obviously, some people have already done that, have outperformed me. I'd like to think that it's not because they have an incredibly higher level of talent than I have. They've just been more persistent, or they've taken a higher level of action. So, what I have in experience, you can overtake with just massive action, with just being persistent. If you have made 20 calls and this, today, and you didn't get a hold of somebody, well, make 20 more. If you have reached out to prospects that have watched the webinar and they really, they seem to almost be avoiding you, well, you just reach out to more. You don't stop. And you don't assume that you know what's going on inside of other people's heads. That's another thing that really happens. It's like one of the things that we jump right to a lot of times is somebody watches the webinar and then maybe you had an appointment to follow up and they didn't show up for the appointment. And I don't know why this is the first response for a lot of people, but the first response is, well, they must not be interested, or they must not like me, or they must be blowing me off, or they must be ignoring me. But you don't know. Don't assume things. You don't know until you do know. So if you're going to assume anything, assume the best. Assume that absolutely they're really interested. Something really important must have come up. And guys, guess how I know this? Okay, because I used to do exactly the same thing. I used to think, wow, well, why isn't that person returning my phone call? They seem so interested. Why this, why that, why this? And only to come to find out that, in fact, they did have a problem. I've had thousands, tens of thousands of conversations over the years. And people have had deaths in the family. They've gotten really sick. They've had to go to the hospital. Their kid's fallen off a swing set and broken an arm. I could go down a list on and on and on and on and on. So, and that's just coming from the perspective of, from somebody who may be a prospect that's just looking at the business. You have other times where I've had times where people have actually joined the business and then gone AWOL. Well, go figure. Well, you could say to yourself, well, I don't know, maybe they, maybe they just don't like me, or I don't know what's going to happen next, or, oh, what if they want their money back? Or, there's all kinds of stories we can tell ourselves in our head. But I've again come to find out that people have things going on in their lives. With your prospects right now, this is something I've talked about before, but it really bears repeating. And let me see if I can pick up. Richard, you unmuted yourself. I'll leave you unmuted if you have something you want to say, but let me just finish.
Sure.
Okay. Talking about a prospect, who, or like when you haven't been able to reach somebody, or somebody's not returning your phone calls, people are busy. This is really important to understand. People are really, really busy. So unless you've made a dramatic impact on someone, or until, I'm not going to say unless, because we can make a dramatic impact. That's not hard to do in this business. Until you've made that dramatic sort of turning point impact on someone, you're not on the forefront of their mind. Until you've put enough information in front of somebody, until you've, what did Kim just say? Until you've educated them to the point where they get it, where they're starting to change their mindset, then they're still in their world of distraction. They're still in their own circle of activity. They may be even reviewing other different opportunities, or they may be looking at 20 different things at the same time when you show up. So don't take it personally. It's not personal. It's absolutely not personal. And when somebody doesn't return a phone call, it can't be personal because they don't even know you yet. It's not about you. It's something going on with them. Everybody's got busy lives. Everybody's got their kids. Everybody's got lacrosse games to go to, whatever it might be. Excuse me, I just need to get some water. So, Richard, this would be a good time. Let me take a little break. And did you want to jump in with some commentary?
Sure. Yeah, I just want to reinforce what you're saying there because, in fact, someone watched the webinar last night and they texted me. They said they really want to get going. However, they had a death in the family. And so they won't be able to get talking until Monday. And then I had another person very interested, in fact, saw the webinar, scheduled a 3-way call, and the very day that the call was made or was scheduled, his sister was in the doctor and found out she had cancer. So,
wow.
These things happen. So,
well, on the scale of 1 to 10, in their lives, obviously that's way, way more important than whatever our agenda is at the moment.
Yeah. So I just texted him and I said, listen, my prayers are with you. And when you have a moment, we can revisit it. But by golly, be with your sister. Stay with her.
You got to be patient with people. They've got to do it in their time. I say to people all the time, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still going to be here. Right. Yeah. Like my guy, Daryl, who just joined. I'm still here. I'm and I'm in another business now and I'm still here. So those relationships are really important. I want to just pass along in case everybody's not seeing the chats. Kim just reached out and wanted to welcome Mary and Vasi. This is a great community of support. So it is not just a business you would be joining. You would be gaining so much more. You would be gaining a family too. Oh, that's really sweet, Kim. Thanks. And that's how we feel. We are a community. We are a family. We take care of each other. This is, I think, arguably the first time in all of the businesses that I've been involved with that we've had this level of community support. One of the things that really separates success from failure, so to speak, in this industry is that some people get involved and they don't get the support that they need right out of the blocks. And it makes it very easy for them to quit or to make excuses or to find a way that it's not going to work. And a lot of times, again, let's go back to assumptions for just a second. A lot of times the reason for that has nothing whatsoever to do with the business being a problem or that the person doesn't want it, like their sponsor doesn't want to give them support. It's not about that. It's about sometimes people are so new, like you can be so successful in this business so quickly that you might still be too new to even be able to mentor somebody. And it's kind of like the blind leading the blind in the beginning stages. And I've seen that happen over and over in this industry time and time again. So the great thing about what we have here is that we've got all the training, all the support, nobody gets left behind. We have, our good friend Joy on the line here today. She's a great example. And Joy, if you're up for it, I'd love to have you just step up and make a comment about this. But Joy got involved with the business several months ago. I think sometime mid last year or something. Did okay as a starting point, had a really great sponsor. And kind of like having a death in the family, we lost one of our family members. Her mentor, her sponsor passed away. And she wasn't left orphaned. She wasn't left without an anchor. She had this whole community of support. And the result of that, as well as her persistent and consistent behavior and improving her mindset and coming to these calls every Friday, and I'm sure others throughout the week, we have 23 different trainings throughout the week. She's now just, gotten back on track and, better than ever, and just made a $12,000 sale that you just made, Joy? So, yeah, I mean, hoorah. Like this is who we are as a community. We do not believe in letting people falter and fail. Now, here's the other thing about that though. And I tell this to people all the time. I will match you step for step, but I'll never chase you. So I'm not going to be there like your boss was to come nag you and make sure you're getting your work done. You're going to have to do that part on your own, but I'll always be here for support. Our team will always be here for support. We have, I think, 30-something mentors. Again, about 23 live trainings throughout the week. We have incredible recorded trainings that you can always refer back to for your both technical, tactical, mindset, all of it. And then our products, you guys. I mean, just the product purchase that you made by being in this business or that you will make when you come into this business, those products can change your life too, both on a financial level, creating multiple streams of income level, et cetera. So, wow, I am really off on a tangent. So I'm going to skip to another slide here. If it's possible for anyone, this is actually good timing for that. If it's possible for anyone, it's possible for everyone. So what one person can do, another person can do. This is a duplicatable process that we do, guys, regardless of what your perception is about skill set required or whether somebody's got this or that pizzazz or whatever technical skill it might be, whatever. It's all just chatter. It's all just mental chatter. Everything is here. The only thing separating you from the most successful people in this business right now is consistent activity performed over time. That's it. Be here in 90 days, measure, be here in 90 days again after that. I've been doing that same motto for the last, now I'm coming up on, it's like I said, just finished 16 months in this business. I looked back at the calendar and was like, really? Has it been that long? Yeah, 16 months. But 16 months and multiple six figures, and it didn't all happen at once. And I've had streaks as well, like people do, where I had some slow times. Fortunately, I was in a position recently to be able to take a little time off. I had to have eye surgery. I was building a foundation for another separate income stream, and I had not only funds, but the time to do that. But then all I had to do was just kind of flip the switch again, plug back in, and here we go. More sales coming in, more people coming in, more people joining our community. So I want to share with you a few quotes about persistence. There's a top 40 list that I kind of keep here, but I'll just share with you some of my favorites. Success is stumbling from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. That's from Winston Churchill. Robert Frost said, the best way out is always through. Benjamin Franklin, energy and persistence can conquer all things. Energy and persistence conquer all things. This is one of my favorites, actually, of all time, from Calvin Coolidge. Notice, by the way, these are not, Tony Robbins and, people in the more sort of modern era. This is all, Benjamin Franklin, Winston Churchill, Calvin Coolidge. Nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. Boom. That's powerful stuff right there. And then, of course, one of my favorites, you guys have heard me talk about, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. I was blessed to have someone give me that book as a gift when I was a junior in high school, when I was 17 years old, long time ago, 4 decades ago. Patience, persistence, and perspiration make an unbeatable combination for success. So think about that, the 3 Ps, patience, persistence, perspiration. Success is where perspiration meets inspiration. Okay, so I want to take a little bit of time here just to open things up. If anybody wants to make a comment, Joy, I would love to hear from you if you're feeling like you want to dive in and tell a little bit about your experience. I don't want to put you on the spot. If you don't want to do that, that's fine.
What do you want me to say?
Well, I'd love for you to share just a little bit, kind of expound a little bit on what I said, because I'm just paraphrasing your story and you can tell it better than I can.
I never really spoke to anybody. I'm a widow with 4 kids, so it was just like if I was working, it was just the people at my job and my kids, and I never spoke to anybody. I always looked down at the ground, so walking around like I was invisible to everybody because I was too afraid to pick up my head and look at other people. And I never picked up the phone, and nobody ever called me, and this business changed everything, because I was forced to pick up the phone and call people and learn how to talk to them. And so I became from invisible to picking my head up and walking around and saying hi to people when I pass them and talking to other people. Like I swim every day, so I see people at the pool, and I used to just get in my suit, go in the water, go home, never spoke to anybody, but now people talk to me. And I talk to them, and it's just all from this business. And I learned it by the meetings and listening to other people, how they made their calls, or I'd get a nugget from each meeting I went to. There was always one thing I could take away from me, but I learned from listening to everybody else and following by example for things that I had never done before. I was a microbiologist, so what do I know about selling anything to anybody? And then technologically insecure, but I learn all the time, and I ask questions all the time. And if there's something I don't know, I want to know it. I mean, I get frustrated if I don't know something. It bothers me. I have to know what I don't know how to do. So I ask everybody else on here that, if somebody said something and I want to know about it, I'm going to call them out and ask them about it. And, still not very good with Facebook, but I'm learning how to use that. It was just a means for me to keep track of my kids, because one of my kids is a special forces guy, and he would post things all the time, not talk a whole lot because he's not in the country a whole lot, but at least I would know he was still alive if he posted something. And it was always like not something I could share with other people because of his language, and like he's a guy and he's in the military and they have their own kind of thing going on there. But now I'm learning that other people are posting stuff and are talking to me or something, and it's like I'm learning things. And so my life has changed dramatically from what I was to what I am. And it's a growth thing where like I'll learn every day and I'll grow every day. And just because I'm old doesn't mean I can't learn anymore. So I'm like a kid in this business, just learning and growing.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Old? You're not old. Come on. There's nobody here that's old. If you're here, you're not old, because it's like you said, you're always growing, and if you're always growing, then there's no time for aging. So
True.
Thank you, Joy. I appreciate everything that you said. And I think you're just a shining example of, what's possible and how people can change, not just how, it's not just a financial thing. It's like Kim posted in the chat earlier. It's a community thing. It's about being part of something bigger than yourself. It's about having a reason why to just, get up. I mean, some days you don't feel great, but you can jump on the morning huddle call and just, connect with people who are like-minded, who are on the same path as you, and it can change everything for the day. It all comes down to persistence and consistency. And congratulations, Joy, because you are a prime example of, why our community works so well. If you look at the world in every industry and every culture, there's really one consistent trend among successful individuals. And it's that trend is the ability to persevere, to be persistent, to punch through during the hard times. It's the ability to step up and take a step forward when everybody else is sitting down or quitting. Our greatest leaders throughout time. I mean, Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King, Colonel Sanders, Mark Victor Hansen, Steve Jobs. These are some of the ones who have persisted, even beyond what's normal. And it's actually really not a natural trait. It is when you start out, it's a natural trait to be persistent. When you're a little kid, you have it naturally. Mom, can I have this? No. Why? No. Why? Please, no. Please, no. Please, no. Please. I mean, we had that, right? But somewhere along the way, it gets, I'm just going to say, programmed out of us. Maybe we got so many no's or whatever it might be. I mean, so it's, as you become an adult, after you've already established that foundation of thinking pattern, it's not natural. It has to become learned again. That means that persistence is a choice that you have to make. It's a matter of believing in yourself, finding a way to reach an end result when the first however many strategies fail. Like I said, 22 years, 30 plus businesses, 9 successes. Okay, so you have to figure out what works. So, I named a few names. Let me just tell you some stories. Abraham Lincoln, for example, he failed in business at the age of 21. He was defeated in the legislative race at the age of 22, failed again at business at age 24, overcame the death of his lover at age 26, had a nervous breakdown at age 27, lost a congressional race at 34 and 36, lost a senatorial race at 45, failed to become president at 47, lost a senatorial race at 49, and then finally was elected president of the United States at the age of 52. Imagine what our country might look like today if he hadn't persisted through those quote unquote failures. You've heard me talk, and most everybody's heard this story about Thomas Edison, famous story, trying 9,999 times to perfect the light bulb. And he couldn't do it. And so someone says to him, well, you're going to have 10,000 failures? Have anybody that's talked to you like that? Oh, that's not going to work. That's one of those pyramid schemes. We talked about it earlier. You're going to have 10,000 failures? He responded, I didn't fail. I just discovered another way not to invent the electric light bulb. Persistence, mindset. And, he chose how he was going to perceive all the previous experiences and the chatter that he heard from other people and decided not to perceive them as failures. Well, again, imagine what life would look like today if he'd stopped at 9,999. I mean, hopefully somebody would have figured it out at some point, but if Edison didn't do it when he did it, we could still be living in, with kerosene lamps. Colonel Sanders, founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken. Now, this guy wasn't no pun intended, wasn't a spring chicken. He was a military retiree. He had nothing to his name except his mother's chicken recipe. So what did he do? He took his old sports wagon out. He began driving to restaurant after restaurant after restaurant. And his intention was to sell the chicken recipe. And he was turned down time and time and time again, 1,007 times before he received his first yes. And that one yes is what made possible Kentucky Fried Chicken. I'm not a huge fan of Kentucky Fried Chicken personally, but I'm a huge fan of Colonel Sanders and persistence. So let's break this down. So what can you do? What are the steps to increasing your level of persistence? Well, one thing you can do is you can be part of our community. One thing you can do is be here in 90 days. You can be here on these trainings. You can be here on these calls. You can be here and show up for support whenever and wherever you choose. I mean, you literally have multiple options a day. But what can you do as a person? What can you do today? So again, for those of you who have been here often, you'll hear themes. You'll hear repetitive statements. Why? It's not because there's nothing new in the universe. It's because for the most part, it's the same old stuff that still works. It's the same stuff that always works. So one of the biggest things that you can do is clarify your why. Get really clear about why you're wanting to do this in the first place. Okay, yeah, money, right? Money is the first thing for most people, but that's not really why. So let me just ask you a few questions, and not for you to necessarily answer out loud, but okay, so you want to make more money. Well, keep asking the question, why? Why do you want to make more money? Well, I want to quit my lousy job. Okay, why? Because I don't like the fact that somebody else is always looking over my shoulder. I don't have any time freedom. I don't have, I'm just making this stuff up, okay, kind of how it works for me. But figure out how it works for you. Okay, well, why? Why do you want more time freedom? Well, because I want to spend more time with my kids, with my grandkids. I want to travel. Okay, well, why do you want to do that? Well, because that's what makes me happy. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. That's what lights me up. Okay, now we're getting to the real reason. So when you understand and you're really clear about your why, it's going to push you beyond whatever your initial goal is. Most everybody gets involved with this business for money or for time. I mean, there's a lot of people who were making plenty of money before, but they had no time. So it's either money or time. Interestingly enough, those things kind of coincide with each other in our business. I don't work more than, 15, 20 hours a week on 8-Figure Dream Lifestyle, the most. I got plenty of time. I go hiking, I do play music, I do all the things I want to do in my week. So, but the reason for that is that, time freedom is my why. It's my underlying why. It's the biggest reason. Now, why do I want time freedom? For me, I want, I want to be at my son's lacrosse games. I want to be there to take pictures at the games, I want to be there to cheer them on when they win the battle of the paddle. I want to be able to just kind of up and go wherever I want, whenever I want. That's just the nature of who I am. That may or may not be you. But you have to have a deep purpose and an underlying reason why you want to do this. I love to play music. I don't care if I get paid playing music anymore. Maybe I will again because of some of the tools that we have available. I can take my music out through social media in a completely different way than I could have 30 years ago when I was really in the trenches doing it. So I love to play music. So now I can. Now I can do it, not have to worry about whether somebody's going to buy one of my songs or whether some label's going to pick up my album or whatever it might be. So I want to strongly encourage you to really get clear about your why, get clear about the deep purpose behind the goal. Keep asking why when you answer the question why. Keep going deeper and deeper and deeper and find the real core fundamental reason why you want to do this in the first place. And I recommend that you write it out in detail. Like, what does it mean to you to have the financial goal completed? What does that look like? Make pictures of it, take pictures of it, or cut out pictures of it, put it on a vision board, or put it in a notebook so you can just flip through and see every day. This is something I do every single day, guys. I look at the things, I visualize the things that I want to create. And those things have this magical way of showing up. As long as you don't just sit there and visualize and meditate and expect them to land on your doorstep, you still have to take the action. You still have to be consistent. You still have to take the steps. So write it out in detail. Second step, map out all the possibilities. So look at all the different ways, look at all the different means and methods that you could use to reach that goal. Now, again, not to be too biased here for those of you who are guests on the training today. And by the way, Paula mentioned that we have a guest named Brent here. I don't see Brent's name, but maybe he's just on the phone. But anyway, he's excited to get started with us, and sounds like he's a guest/almost member. So welcome, Brent. Hopefully you're enjoying the community today. But yeah, map out those possibilities. Identify all the reasons, all the ways, methods, means that you can use to reach a goal. So like I said, 8-Figure Dream Lifestyle, you've got your core business, which is selling our products. But you've also got our products, which show you how to make money in other ways, building your personal brand, you can set up a traffic driving to a website, set up an Amazon store. You can, there's all kinds of other things that you can do. I'm a huge proponent, you guys know this, of multiple streams of income. Why? Because I've put all my eggs in one basket before, and that basket got kicked down the street and into the sewer, and I had to start all over again. So yeah, absolutely, 8-Figure Dream Lifestyle is my primary income stream. Absolutely. It's hard to argue with multiple 6 figures in just over a year. But that's part of it for me too, yes, is I get bored easily. I don't want to always be doing the same thing. So, that's part of it. I just have a lot of different interests. But map out the possibilities for reaching your goal. So I'm sure that we can always agree there's more than one way that you can reach a desired result at anything. So no matter what the result is, there are multiple avenues to reach the destination. Even here in our business, there's some people use different types of traffic sources. Some people just pick up the phone and make phone calls. Some people drive traffic to their website. Some people do a combination of all of those things. Some people are using Facebook. Some people are just using different forms of social media. So all these things are valid. There's multiple paths to the end goal, multiple avenues to reach the destination. So when you start mapping out all the different ways that you can reach the goal, you can adjust if one strategy isn't working. And it also opens your mind up. It opens up the channels of your brain to new possibilities. It gives you new ideas. And then, of course, as always, the biggest, most important thing is take action, massive action. Nothing gets created without measurable action. And I said measurable for a reason. When I say be here in 90 days, well, keep track of what you do over the course of 90 days as well. Tracking, you can't change what you're not tracking. So you need to measure your activity. It's a very, very important part of the process. And take action, and also never give up. I love this picture. If you guys, hopefully you guys can see this. Never give up. So you can see a little picture of the mouse looking at the cheese. He said, this time he's got his helmet on now. He's seen his buddies go down this path before, so he's got his helmet on. So, okay. So that's about all I have here for today. I would love to open this back up here. So let me just look at the comments real quick. Stephanie, my new buddy, my persistence and determination comes from my son. I'm so determined to make sure he has no debt when he leaves college. I know I will succeed in this. Absolutely. Richard responds, Stephanie, great goal. I was making 6 digits when my kids were in college, and they all graduated with 0 debt. Good for you, Richard. And I have 2 of my 3 kids with PhDs. Awesome. Oh, and Paula said that that LGK10 is Brent. Okay, cool. So now we know. All right, so I'm going to stop the sharing. I'm going to open things up where we can see each other a little bit better now. See who's still here. We have more people here now than when we started. Awesome. So anybody have anything that they would like to add? Do any of our guests have any questions? Does anybody want to tell? I know, Richard, you're always good for a comment. Connie, anybody want to jump in? Talk a little bit more about this awesome community. Paula, come on, you guys. Don't be shy. Reese, Kim. Come on.
I'll jump in.
There she is. All right. Mentor and training.
From a personal basis. I was in an analytical background in the mortgage business for over 30 years. And I kind of freaked out when I first joined, saying, oh gosh, I don't have this kind of experience. And I don't know that I know how to talk to customers or potential members. And so I said, okay, what can I learn? So I really jumped into the products and said, oh my gosh, this mindset is amazing. How can I use these mentors and the wealth of information that's available and get me back on track so that I can take on the call, the process, and feel really comfortable with it, because I was outside my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I will tell you, this mindset thing is so big, and to be able to feel comfortable back in your own skin again. But it's got me on an action plan where I'm working on my weight. And so I've lost 7 pounds. So there's just
congratulations.
Yeah, there's just a lot of things that we can do. And when you're taking better care of yourself, then you're going to be more successful. And it's just all about mindset. So I'm taking the mindset thing so much to heart that I am not the same person when I started in January. And thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, my pleasure. Well, thank you for sharing so openly. This is it, you guys. This is what it's all about. You know, this is what it's all about. You know, that was, hopefully you could tell that was totally unscripted. She didn't even know it was coming. She wasn't even sure she was going to unmute herself and do it. You could tell. But yeah, this is it. This is how we changed people's lives here. I know that sounds sort of, I don't know, cheesy and cliche, but we do change people's lives, you know, whether it's financial. I mean, if Eric was here, I wish he could be here, because you know, most of you have heard his story. But, you know, when I first approached Eric about this business, you know, he was kind of hanging on to the edge of the cliff by his fingernails. And, you know, I helped him get rolling with the opportunity. And I mean, he'd made over 6 figures in less than 90 days. Changed everything for him. You know, he talks about his story about his son, that what got him into, you know, the home-based type of business in the first place. He was very successful. He was a mortgage broker, mortgage consultant, and was involved with real estate, but he was working all the time. And once his son came to him when he was really small, and Joey is his name, he said, how did he put it? He said, Daddy, I don't know you very much anymore. I don't know you very often anymore, or something like that. It was like a little kid's version of saying, how come I never see you? You know, like you're never around. But the way he said it was just, you could tell how his mind was working. And that was the turning point for Eric. You can check out he's got a video of that story someplace in our testimonials. This is moving stuff, you guys. I mean, and I don't tell you these things to draw out emotion or it's just like,
it's life-changing. That's all I can really say. It's absolutely life-changing. And then it can bring out the best, because I was a star in the mortgage business. I'm like Richard, we both did very, very, very well over the last 30 years. We serve people. And that's the thing what drew me to this business, because I look at it as being a people business.
Yeah.
We have the ability to solve people's problems.
Exactly.
And I don't think it gets any better than that. I really don't.
I agree with you 100%. And, the key is really to take the time to figure out what the problem is and then craft a way that this business can solve it. So I've got people that get involved with the business now because they just think they would love to use these products to help to enhance their current business, which is great. They want to drive more traffic to a website. They need a stronger social media presence and whatever that might be. And then they find, wow, there's even more. It goes deeper than that. And you always talk about going deeper. Continue to ask yourself why. Then they see, wow, well, like a lot of my coaching clients over the years, I've had a coaching business for the last 18 years, mastermind mentor. And my coaching clients always struggle with these types of things too. And they're always needing an extra source of income. So I'm targeting coaches at this point because, first of all, coaches do really well in this business, generally speaking. But I also know that market really, really well. And I know what their pain points are, and we can help to craft a solution for their problem. And, it's interesting. There's a lot of different, niches, we call them, little niche markets that fit very well with this business. People look at it first for the products, and then all of a sudden they realize, wow, it wouldn't hurt my feelings to add another $6,000 or $12,000 or $21,000 to my bottom line on a monthly basis or weekly basis or whatever it turns out to be. But at the end of the day, whereas 16 months ago when we were still using stone knives and bear skins in this business, we had these products that were sort of generic in nature and not necessarily even 100% up to date. And it was all a really great idea, and we loved it, and we got some great momentum going. But, the founders, particularly Alex's relationships inside of his mastermind groups, have brought us over the last 6 months or so an incredible array of products. I mean, I'm in this industry of what these people do. For me to say that is like, it's kind of like saying, wow, these guys are rock stars. It's like me saying, well, maybe I need to live up to that. Maybe I need to live up to the level of what these products have to offer now. And it's got me motivated. I'm going out again, and building more products under my own brand because of this business too. So I'm taking my whole design to a new level. And, this is what you can do. Like, you get involved and you start to experience what we have here, and new ideas and new opportunities show up. You may have that $1 million idea that comes from being part of the community, not necessarily by making $1 million in this business, if that makes sense. So, but I think, Connie, I think you nailed it right on the head. And again, you've heard it so many times before. We change people's lives. But we really do change people's lives, you guys. I mean, virtually everybody who comes into this and gets, if you go into it just enough to understand what we have here, you can't help but improve as a person because of it.
One thing that's really interesting to me is that one thing unfolds another. It leads you to another book.
Right.
It leads you to another experience. And how it's just been unfolding, it's been amazing experience. Like, oh my gosh, there's something new. Last night, we turned off our Wi-Fi. I had no idea that you should not sleep with your Wi-Fi on in your home. And we had the best rest ever.
Wow. I've never done that.
Well, they said, turn off your cell phones, turn off all your devices, because it affects your sleep. And the best thing that we can have for our health is our sleep.
Right.
So our Wi-Fi, we completely disconnected everything in our home. The best night ever.
Well, I know I think they're called EMT, electromagnetic pulse.
Electromagnetic frequencies.
Yeah, EMFs, that's what it is. Yeah, so I know all that stuff affects you. I kind of feel like I have to be perpetually connected. I may do it as an experiment. Well, part of it is, having boys running around all over the place. You never know in the middle of the night, when
Sure.
I get a phone call or whatever. But I do use different technologies to protect from that as well, though. We've got different, I won't get into it here today, but, some really cool technology that you can either wear on your body that grounds you and protects you from those sort of things, or you can put a piece on your cell phone or inside your cell phone so that those waves don't go out past the phone. Yeah, I've got, it's funny, we've done a lot of, applied kinesiology, muscle testing around this, and it's really absolutely amazing what this can do. So maybe a topic for another day. Fantastic. Well, listen, you guys, we're a little bit past the top of the hour. I love being here. If anybody has anything else that they'd like to add, or any questions or comments, please jump in.
Hey, Jeff, this is Nick. Just a quick question.
Yes, sir.
When someone comes on, you bring a new person on and they're working and they want to start this business. How do they access these types of calls when they're working during the day?
Well, the recordings are generally available. I've been a little bit remiss. I don't post every single recording, but I've been trying to be a little bit more conscious about posting the recordings of these calls because not to pat myself on the back or me and Eric too much, but I turned out really, really well. So, we're going to record. We're going to.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't taking a shot at you. I'm just talking about other recordings that other people have done. Where do you where would they find the recordings?
So the mentors would have to post the recordings. There's no library of everything that's ever been recorded. There's just not enough space for all that. Typically, it's posted on Facebook after the event. I'll post this on Facebook after the event. The Facebook group, I'll also post it on the Skype group. And then you're welcome to share that link with any of your prospects or anybody that you want to, share that with.
I got it. Okay.
Okay. Great. Thanks for the question. Okay. Anybody else before we wrap up?
I'm just gonna comment a little thing, about the same subject we were talking. You were speaking of a little bit ago. Last night, Brent and we were talking about, how he has, in essence, kind of getting to find so much skepticism from his family. So, and I explained to him. Yeah.
We all run into that, yeah.
That, what we do here is help people change lives, not their minds. So, and sometimes people, they're just not gonna, they're not gonna be that open to listen, regardless if it's, however we are approaching this. So I guess I'm really happy that he was able to join us today in this call because the subject was just right on key of what we were talking about yesterday. So
absolutely. Well, again, Brent, congratulations for not only being here, but for being here all the way to the end. I just got a comment. I got a text message from Stephanie, who was just here. She hasn't joined the business yet. She has gone through, I'm not going to get into her personal world, but she's gone through some significant challenges since I started talking with her about 6 weeks ago. And she has been absolutely persistent, to use the term of the day. She's just been persistent. She's committed to making this happen. She's committed to finding a way to make the money happen. And it looks like she's done that. So within a week or so, she's going to be able to get on board. And look, if you want something, if you want it enough and you have a good enough reason, you'll find a way. It happens. Even if it takes 2.5 years, like it did with Daryl, obviously that's a extreme exception. But I have actually 3 people in this business that I had on a prospect list from another business previously. And I'd spoken with from somewhere between 2 and 3 years before they actually got started here. So just goes to show you life changes for people, timing changes, and the right opportunity shows up. Maybe the right opportunity wasn't what I had in front of them last time. Maybe this finally was, and for some of them, for at least one of them, it's like, oh, okay, I've been talking to you for a long time. I trust you. I trust the relationship, but I wasn't really turned on by some of these other things that you showed me before. This I like. So sometimes it's as simple as that. It's a timing thing. It's the right product at the right time, whatever. So yeah. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for being here. If anybody else has anything else, now's the time. Otherwise, I'm going to cut it loose because I got to jump in about 10 minutes anyway. So anyone?
Thanks.
Connie, thank you so much for jumping in. Paul, I appreciate your comments as well. Thank you to all the
Thank you,
guests that
Jeffrey.
joined today. Appreciate you guys. I'll post this up in Facebook and in the Skype group. And you guys have a fantastic weekend. Don't forget to finish strong Friday, #FSF. Talk to you soon. All right. We'll see you guys.
All right.
Take care. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.